Welcome back to the Us vs. Them channel. I'm your host Vince, and we're going to break down the next fight for the co-main event this weekend at UFC 320. Before we get into the breakdown, if I could just get you guys to like and subscribe my shit. Obviously, that's what keeps us going. That's what gives us the validation to let us know that we're doing something right here. And we always want to help you guys get the best bets available, so that's what we do. We spend a lot of time breaking down film, doing edits, all this shit. So if you can give us a like and subscribe, really appreciate that. Anyways, we got the co-main event this weekend. We got Merab Dvalishvili versus Cory Sandhagen. Right now the line is sitting at Merab with a minus 440 favorite, and Sandhagen is at a plus 310 underdog. When I'm breaking down this fight, the first thing, a lot of people are going to make the assumption that Sandhagen's going to have the striking advantage and Merab is going to have the grappling advantage. And I think that's truth to some extent for sure. Sandhagen has shown that he has the potential to knock people out, which Merab doesn't really knock anybody out. But I think that Merab could definitely have some success in the striking for sure. I don't fully expect him to stick around striking too awful long. And I don't think that this is his path to victory to win this fight. That's probably more accurately what I was trying to say. But, Sandhagen, what I've been breaking down in Sandhagen's most recent fights, the one thing I do notice is that he's a little too tentative on the feet for my liking, especially when he's getting ready to fight Merab. I think the path to victory to beat Merab is to fight on the front foot, make Merab fight backwards, and that makes it harder for Merab to shoot the takedowns that he's looking for. Sandhagen, like I said, sometimes he's just a little too tentative, and if you're more reserved and you're looking for a perfect shot, you're going to be the guy that tends to go backwards. We saw that in the Umar fight. We saw that, in the Rob Font fight. We've seen, every fight that I broke down, I saw him on the back foot. And, not only was he on the back foot, but like I said, he wasn't maybe throwing enough strikes as he maybe should have. Merab is going to try and make this a dirty fight. I think that's kind of unavoidable. So you kind of have to fight fire with fire a little bit, The one thing that's going to help Sandhagen in this fight, though, is he's really fucking fast. He's really quick with his strikes. He's got good leg kicks. He's light on his feet, and he moves in and out really well. But Merab also is really light on his feet, and he also moves in and out really well. The one thing that I really noticed about Merab, he's super energetic. That we all know this. He's not going to stop bouncing around. He's always on his feet, always moving, always looking for that perfectly timed takedown, and he always seems to find it. But one thing I think that makes him pretty good on his feet is, the threat of the takedown, obviously. But not only the threat of the takedown, but Merab he's similar to Khamzat Chimaev in the sense that they could shoot from way far away and still get the takedown they're looking for. So they could be almost outside of kickboxing range, and if you take the wrong step forward, they're already in on your legs and threatening the takedown. I think that's what makes Merab so tough and so tricky to fight, and honestly so frustrating to fight, especially for taller fighters like Cory Sandhagen or Sean O'Malley, because they're used to being able to pick people apart and being able to be dangerous further away. But Merab is actually just as dangerous from that range because he can always dart in for a takedown. I fully expect Sandhagen to be looking for the knee up the middle of this fight, try to catch Merab at the perfect time to, hit him with a, big knee, when he's trying to shoot for a takedown. I think that's going to be really hard to do, though. The way that Merab shoots takedowns, it's going to make it really tricky. Not only does he set it up, he does a lot of overhand right, or, I'm left-handed, but, overhand setups to go into the leg attacks, but that means he's at a further distance, too. So to time that knee up, there has to be some luck component to it, too. I don't think that's going to be the path to victory for Sandhagen. I do think he's going to be leaning on that a little bit. I just don't think that's the right way to do it. O'Malley showed in the third fight in the first fight in the fifth round that Merab can be damaged to the body. He absorbs shots to his big fucking head really well, and he hasn't been knocked out in a long time, and he hasn't really even had the threat of being knocked out in a while. So, but O'Malley's kind of threatened that a little bit in round 5 of their first fight with teeps up the middle, and you saw Merab kind of have a reaction. If there was maybe another round or a little more time in that round, we could be talking about a completely different outcome of the fight, potentially. I think that's the path to victory for Sandhagen. Teeps up the middle and doing damage to his body, because Merab's gas tank is what he's known for, that motor. And if you start taking that motor away a little bit, that's what's going to help you in the fight. But, is Merab human enough to have his motor taken away? That's the big question here. I don't really think it's really necessary for me to get into the grappling of Merab too awful much. You know, you guys, if you're watching my channel, you know Merab is a marauder on top. I mean, he is constant pressure, you know, all that shit. He uses his pace and his wrestling to, you know, wear opponents down. And we've seen him do that time and time and time and time again. You know, he's not afraid to shoot 50 times in a fight, which he has before, you know, to get the takedowns he looked for. And the Jose Aldo fight, I think he shot almost 60 times in that fight. He didn't score a single takedown, but that's another component too that, you know, we've seen Merab score takedowns recently. Sandhagen is a little bit tricky to take down, but he's even harder to hold down. I think Merab is going to be looking to do a lot of clinch work against the cage, and that's where he's going to be able to find the path to victory for him, probably the path of least resistance. You know, make it kind of look like the Jose Aldo fight. The Aldo fight wasn't very entertaining to watch as fans, but then again, there wasn't a title on the line, and it wasn't the co-main event of a pay-per-view. I think if those were the circumstances, we might have enjoyed that fight a little bit more. But, you know, if Sandhagen is able to defend takedowns, you know, I could see Merab fully push him against the cage and just working clinch on the cage. You know, he's gotten much better at that over his career, which is kind of scary to say because he was never bad at it, you know. But he's also gotten better at just timing his takedowns, and that's why we just haven't seen him do that recently. But, you know, in Sandhagen's fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, you know, we did see Umar was able to score takedowns, and actually in the 5th round, he was able to score some control time on top. But every time he was taken down throughout the fight earlier, you know, Umar wasn't able to control him. You know, Merab isn't necessarily known for being a blanket on top. He's okay to let you move so he can kind of get one step ahead of you. And if you work up, that's totally fine with him. He's just going to drag you back down. If you work back up to your feet, he's totally okay with that too. He's not the type of grappler that Islam is or Khabib, where they're really squeezy on top. They're just trying to hold you down and squeeze you down, you know. Merab doesn't do that, and that's probably why his cardio lasts so well. You want to get up, you want to work up to your feet, he's going to make you work to do it for sure. He's going to tax your cardio more than he's going to tax his, and he's welcome to go right back to striking because he knows it's only a matter of time before he gets his next takedown. For my official prediction, I'm going with Merab on this one. You know, I just don't think that Sandhagen's the guy to do it. You know, eventually Merab is going to be, you know, the terror is going to be over. Somebody's going to beat him. You know, we thought Umar might be that guy before, but, you know, he kind of wore Umar out a little bit, even though it was close on the scorecards. But, you know, I just don't think that Cory Sandhagen's going to be the guy to do it. You know, I really don't. I think Merab is going to be too much. I think the difference maker in this fight is going to be the obvious, and that's the cardio. That's the pacing of Merab. And I think that, you know, I can even see Sandhagen even winning the first round by just having cleaner strikes, not necessarily beating him up, but just winning a point fight. I could see that happening for sure. But as we start to get into the fight, Merab starts to really find his groove, and that's where he becomes more dangerous. And as he starts getting stronger, his opponents start fading. And we've seen that over and over again. So we did see him get a finish in his last fight against O'Malley. It looks like he is starting to work on those front chokes, so that's the scary part about Merab, is it seems like he's kind of getting better in between fights, and he's already the best in the world. So, for my official prediction, I was leaning towards maybe potentially choosing a submission, but, you know, Sandhagen is pretty good at defending the jiu-jitsu. His defensive jiu-jitsu is pretty high level. He's only been submitted once. He just got caught, you know, by Aljo, which is Merab's teammate. But, I don't know. I'm leaning towards decision on this one, but I'll be honest with you guys. You know, the decision prop is sitting at minus 195. I don't really see a lot of value in that. I just hate having method of victory picks that are anything like shorter than 150, minus 150. I just don't really see the value in that. You know, it is a fight. You know, Sandhagen could catch him and knock him out. Merab could get that front choke and get the submission. All these things could happen. You know, so I'm not really feeling like I don't think that's the move to put the Merab by decision on a parlay. But I'm going to keep digging through these props in this fight to see where we're going to lay our chalk as far as, you know, with this fight and our parlays. All right, that's all I got for you guys in this breakdown. Stop by for tomorrow's video where I'm going to give you my official parlays. We'll see how this fight kind of makes it into the parlay, because I do think it's going to make it in there somewhere. I just haven't figured that out yet. And then stay tuned for our next video where we have the main event. We have Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. That fight is going to be sick. This is obviously their second time doing this, and I think this one has potential to be closer than the first one. And the first one was close. So I haven't even made my prediction yet. So stop by for that video. If you guys agree with this pick, leave a comment down below. If you don't agree, also leave a comment and tell me why. You know, I want to build this up as a community, and we kind of share our ideas and share our thoughts and put together the best parlays possible. And that's all I got for you guys. I'm rambling, and I'm going to get the fuck out of here. See ya.